Thanks for tuning in to Murder News, the true crime cult for the latest breaking news, murdery memes, TV reviews, podcast recommendations, and all things spooky. We're so glad that you decided to spend your Friday with us, trying to solve some missing person cases, petting some baby goats, and sipping on a much-deserved cocktail. You did it. You survived January 2021. I'm television's Aurora Katie.
And I'm your online murder friend, Angelina. Cults are no fun alone, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell all of your true crime friends to join the commune at patreon.com/murdernews. This is the Week in True Crime. Last Monday, a duck hunting blind on Reelfoot Lake in northwestern Tennessee became the site of a double homicide. Witness Jeffrey Crabtree told authorities that he and two friends, Chance Black and Zachary Grooms, were surprised when 70-year-old David Vowell approached the blind where the trio was hunting and asked if he could join them. Crabtree said the group agreed that he could join them, but Vowell stayed sitting in his boat and set to loading his gun. Next, he allegedly pointed and fired at the hunters for no clear reason, hitting Zachary Grooms before Crabtree was able to wrestle the gun from his grip. He knocked David Vowell off the platform from which he was firing, causing him to fall back into his boat. From the boat, Vowell pulled out a second firearm and shot Chance Black. Crabtree says he went after Vowell, struck him with the butt of his own gun, and knocked him into the water. While David Vowell was passed out, Jeffrey Crabtree took off in the boat to get help for the shooting victims, but unfortunately it was too late. Both just 26 years old, Chance Black and Zachary Grooms were pronounced dead. And when authorities arrived at the scene of the crime, the shooter was nowhere to be found. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation put out a bulletin in search of Vowell, who they described as an armed and dangerous fugitive. On Tuesday, arrest warrants were filed for Vowell on 2 counts of first-degree murder. A nearly week-long manhunt ensued as police poked through the murky waters of the lake and explored the adjacent region that had been swamped by floodwaters. Police found Vowell's vehicle and then his boat, and then this past weekend they found his body in the lake. After days of being assumed to have been on the run, some were surprised to hear that his body was found so close to the scene of his crimes. A cause of death has not yet been announced, but an autopsy is being performed. Investigators speculate that he likely died due to exposure to extremely cold weather. People who knew David Vowell personally have said that he mentioned he'd been suffering from the early stages of dementia, but investigators say this information has not yet been confirmed with the diagnosis. Of course, this brings a lot of questions to mind about gun ownership and dementia, but the details that we have are just one side of the story. And as I've discovered, there's duck hunter drama, especially in that particular area of northwestern Tennessee. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation suggests that anyone who has any information that could aid in their investigation, or anyone who saw or heard anything in the Walnut Log area of Reelfoot Lake mid-morning on Monday, January 25th, should call 1-800-TBI-FIND. My sources include news stories from People and Oxygen, and from hunting hobbyist magazines like Wildfowl Mag and Outdoor Life. I'll link to all of the above in the description below this video. If you want a deeper dive into this case and into the aforementioned questions that it brings to mind, check out our brand new podcast, Murder News, the Listen Edition.
All right, Southern California monsters, we need your help searching for a missing person. This past Saturday, the family of Maya Millete held their second search party for 39-year-old May, who has been missing from Chula Vista since January 7th. Mary had an argument with her husband, Larry Millete, on Thursday, January 7th, and according to an interview he had with KGTV, they've been having marital problems for the past year, that the two have been married for 22 years and have had 3 children together, ages 11, 9, and 4. In a separate YouTube interview with May's sister, Mary Chris, she mentions that about a year ago, Larry believed that May was having an affair, though no one in the family has confirmed that there was actually an affair going on, so he might have just been having a feeling about it. We don't know. Her sister also said Mary had an appointment with a divorce attorney the following Tuesday. So let's get back to the timeline of May's disappearance. May and Larry had a fight on Thursday evening, and the last time Larry physically saw May was that night around 5 p.m. The details are a little bit fuzzy, but it sounds like May was active in a group chat with her family around 6:45 p.m. and that they were all discussing the plans for a weekend getaway to Big Bear with her family for her 11-year-old daughter's birthday. By all accounts, May was an amazing mother, full of life and energy, and she was the kind of mom that lived for planning birthday parties and spending time with her family. The next bit of the timeline is also a little bit fuzzy, and Larry's story in his interview with KGTV feels a little bit confused and contradictory. Maybe that's just because he was overwhelmed because his wife was missing, but we definitely invite you to listen to the interview and decide for yourself. According to Larry, May might have left home on Thursday evening. He said she could have gone for a hike, she could have gone out for a drink with friends, or maybe she could have gone for a wine tasting in Temecula, which was close by. But from what I've read, Chula Vista and surrounding areas of California were on a complete lockdown with a 10 p.m. curfew on January 7th, so the idea of her going out with friends doesn't sound super plausible to me. The idea of her going hiking after dark also sounds like a bad idea as someone who's a pretty experienced hiker. There are mountain lions in California, and for anyone who has watched enough I Survived, I would not suggest going out in the dark on a hiking trail alone. May was supposedly training for a big hike, and the family does live very close to the San Miguel Mountain trailhead, but the neighborhood they live in is quite affluent, and many neighbors have volunteered their security footage, and none of those videos caught May on video that evening. The next day, Larry states that he heard May in their home downstairs, and that he was taking care of their kids upstairs to try and give her space. According to May's sister, her family was very worried that they hadn't heard from her in 24 hours, especially because they're preparing for this big trip together to Big Bear for her daughter's birthday trip. The family agreed to send May's brother over to her home around 5 or 6 p.m. on January 8th. When her brother arrived, Larry said that May had locked herself in her bedroom, and when her brother didn't hear any noise coming from the room, he assumed she was just asleep. The next day, January 9th, the family sent May's father over to check on her. Her door is still locked. She doesn't answer when he knocks. Larry finally offers to unlock the door with a key, and May's not there. May's Jeep is still in her home, but according to Larry, a bank card, her military work ID, and her phone were all missing. The following day, Sunday, January 10th, is May's daughter's 11th birthday party, and May doesn't show up. At this point, the family convinces Larry to report her missing, and Larry starts talking to the media about his missing wife. So that's the basic timeline of May's disappearance, and she's still missing today. We're going to go more into details about her disappearance, some possible theories, and play some of the recordings from the interviews on our podcast, Murder Murder News, the Listen Edition, which is also out today. We absolutely want to hear your theories, and we want to encourage you to contact the Chula Vista Police Department or Crime Stoppers if you have any information about her disappearance. We've included that information in the details below, as well as links to our sources, including the interview with Larry Millete and May's sister, Mary Chris.
Wow, what an incredible story. I cannot wait to talk about that some more.
Ooh, I really went down a
mighty suspicious.
Yeah, I really went down on a rabbit's hole for this one, so I can't wait to talk to you about it.
This week, we're watching The Little Things on HBO Max. The Little Things feels like a wonderfully dated 90s-style cat and mouse detective drama, similar to the style of Kiss the Girls and Bone Collector. And guess what? This police drama also stars Denzel Washington, plus Rami Malek and Jared Leto. Denzel Washington plays a deputy sheriff with a mysterious past who's trying to catch a serial killer in Los Angeles on the heels of the Night Stalker era. The performances in this movie are fantastic, and our only complaint is, really, where are the women in this movie? Aside from being dead and naked victims and ex-wives. We do recommend checking it out, and let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below.
We are so excited to have Alex and Benji with us from this week's favorite podcast, Jonbenet Superstar. Jonbenet Superstar is dedicated to the legacy of JonBenet Ramsey and discusses the different theories, tabloid articles, and documentaries with their own gay twist. Benji and Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you both doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so glad you're both here.
Me too.
I wish we could hold each other. We can't.
Yes. So, full disclosure, we have all been friends for a very long time. Benji and I have actually known each other for maybe 10 years. We used to be roommates when I lived in Austin.
Since 2013. So
How do you know that?
Because I moved here right after New Year's of 2012. It was actually December of 2012. I moved Christmas of 2012 was when I
So it was right
moved
after
here.
that.
And we
Yeah.
met each other shortly thereafter. And almost immediately after meeting each other, we became roommates.
Yes, I started off as you were going out of town for 2 weekends, and I came to watch Penny and the cats.
My dog.
Then you were just move in, literally.
Yeah. And Benji would come over to dog sit for me, and I would get back into town, and then we'd kind of go get some vegan tacos and hang out, and a day would turn into 2 days, and he was staying over anyways.
And then I never went back to my house, and then you were like, you moved. I had already brought my cat over. You're like, stay at my house for 2 weeks. And I was like, oh yeah, can I bring my cat? And you're like, I guess so. What's another one to the mix?
What's one more?
Been gay.
Yes.
we called. We had a name for. Well, your house was the Barbie Dream House, but then it became Aurora's house for displaced gays and their cats. Because I wasn't the only gay in that time that had at one point for a small period of time a gay that we are much less into that stayed with us, squatted with us for a moment
With his cat.
with his cat.
Also, everyone's bringing a cat.
Yeah, there's and then we had so many cats in and out of that place.
It was really a very good time.
Wonderful.
But pretend I don't already know everything about you and tell everybody a little bit about how the two of you met and what inspired you to start this podcast together.
Okay, so we met in 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
We started dating in 2017 because I was a regular at the restaurant he worked at,
Yes.
and I would go there several times a week.
We also had a mutual good friend.
Yeah, that was what kind of actually got us from passively crushing
To
knowing
actively.
each other.
Oh.
So then I've been obsessed with JonBenet Ramsey for 24 years now, since basically a few days after it happened. I didn't hear that day on Christmas, but all the tabloids that came right after. And it was my true crime origin story. It was what got me into the whole true crime world, because I was 7. I was only a year older than JonBenet.
Wow.
I'm a little younger.
Yeah. So I brought that obsession to the relationship, and I guess you already.
And I mean, I remember it as a kid, and also I remember not fully understanding. I was because she was everywhere. She was all on the news. I would see her face. I would remember specifically being in the living room and my mom crying watching a news thing about it, because I mean it was so tragic.
Yeah.
And just I was a kid seeing another kid and hearing adults talk about how sad it was that somebody was murdered, and it was I was young and wasn't it's you're that young, you don't fully understand or comprehend death, and I mean,
Yeah.
but I did watch The Lion King, so like I knew something. Like I knew enough. Honestly, The Lion King does teach kids.
Prepare you for death. And Fox and the Hound.
Fox and the Hound. Yeah, Disney movies.
Yes.
They're like
Mufasa for me.
we're gonna make you feel a lot of things real quick.
Yeah, but Jonbenet was one of the early things for me, as well as Lion King. Lion King came out in '95 and Jonbenet died in '96. So those two were like my early knowledge of death. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then
she informed it a lot.
Yeah,
we don't want kids to have to be concerned about watching out for that too. Like, I totally can understand why you might want to shield that from kids. It's like you want them to be aware to like watch out from strangers and of certain things, but you don't want them so preoccupied by death. But somehow here the three of us are.
Here we go. Also, another thing I just thought about. So there was this is not related to Jonbenet, but I'm gonna tie it in. It's a personal. So there was one day. This was it. It was around that time. Me and my brother this is in Ohio. We were watching Power Rangers, and we were in our footy pajamas, just like in the living room. And my mom was home. We were probably like 4 or 5, or I was 4 or 5, like somewhere around there. And my mom came up and was like, "I'm gonna be in the basement, like, are you guys okay?" I guess she had like told us, and we're just like kids like staring at a TV like, "Okay, mom, yeah," but like completely ignoring everything she said to her face. But she was just like in the basement and said if we need anything, or like she was basically saying like I'm going away, but like, are you okay? You know, like we were old enough to like be left alone in a room, the two of us, for if my mom was just like down like getting some like Christmas decorations or whatever she was doing.
Right.
And so we like at one point we got hungry and we're like, "Where's mom?" And we're both asking each other. AJ's like, "I don't know," and I was like, "Oh well, where'd she go?" And we just in our head decided, like, we look around, didn't check the basement for some reason, but we
just
were
like the Jonbenet case.
Just like, so yes.
Oh my gosh!
There's more connections than thought. And
right.
And we are like, we literally are just like going around being like, we were left. We told ourselves like mom left us. We're like, we don't have a parent anymore.
We're orphans now.
We are orphans. And and my brother was like, let's go. And we knew like my sister's elementary school, my older sister was like not, I mean, like it was, we just lived in a small town and we like knew where the school was. And my mom always was doing like PTO stuff at the school or whatever. So we were like, maybe she's at Ashley's school. So we literally just start walking to the school in our footy pajamas down like a busy road. And we get like a block or two up. We're just like, this is what we're doing, because we were just like, we don't want to be left alone. And
right.
And the food is in the kitchen.
we were too young to like actually.
Wait, please tell me that the food in the kitchen was pineapple.
It was. Let's just go.
We're gonna go with that. But so we're going down a few blocks, and this lady, and it was like about to leave. She's like getting in her car, and she just like comes up to us, and she's like, "Where are you boys going?" And we're like, "We're going to find our mom." And she was like, I'm like, "Can you?" She's like, "Let me take you somewhere." We literally get in a car with a stranger, stranger lady, and then she's like, "Where's your house?" And we were like close enough that we could tell her like how to get back to our house. She takes us home, and my mom like, and this is all within the course of like maybe like 20 minutes. It was like, we decided we were orphans and we were hungry and like had already went to like find our mom. And you know, it happened very fast, and like we made it like a block, and some lady was like, "Nope, I'm gonna take you where you belong."
Good for her.
Oh,
mom, like, so she rings the doorbell. My mom comes to the door, and this stranger is like holding our hands, and my mom's like, "What is going on?" The lady's like, "I found your kids just walking down like the side of the road. They were trying to find you." And my mom was like, I've been here the whole time. And she's like, I told both of you this. And we're like, we didn't know, like just completely like oblivious. Like we didn't even know we had done anything wrong, or where like my mom was like, oh my God. And the lady, I remember the lady saying to my mom, she was like, your boys are very sweet. They were like so easy to get into the car with me, but also
they were so easy.
You might want to teach them not to do that.
I don't have to tell you that your kids are actively just like ready to get in a car with a stranger. And what she was like, she was like, I was not gonna just let these kids like wander off.
Wow.
She was like, but she was
You
like,
almost died that day.
yeah, she was like, it's kind of alarming that your kids are that just like ready to trust strangers.
And not you.
Yeah,
and not trust that you're coming home.
we kind of
You're
got
our new mom, okay?
Yeah. A little bit of trouble for that. We're like, I didn't know.
Right.
That is I could have gotten abducted. Kind of did, but
you did actually.
I did. By a night.
But anyway,
this is the day you were abducted.
What was I going to say? To reel it all in, because the question was, how did we meet each other and start this podcast? So I think like the whole
Alex was the woman in the van.
Yeah, that's a whole new theory. Maybe that lady did it.
Ooh, was this in Denver?
Yeah, where was she?
This was in Brookville, Ohio.
But where was she December 26, 1996? Do you know?
We need to know.
We need to know. We need answers.
What I want to talk about next, and this might be hard to answer, but I want to know what your current best or most likely or just favorite theory is about how Jonbenet was killed.
Oh man. So, I mean, my personal theory, I'll go over this in episode 2, so tune in and you can hear it in more detail. But my personal theory is that Burke Ramsey, I don't know, I'm gonna say I think it was an accident. Accidentally killed her. Whether he was mad about the pineapples and milk, her eating a bite of his food, or maybe it was some brother on sister sexual abuse that happens, sadly. Somehow he accidentally killed her and the parents covered it up because they're like, we lost our one baby, we don't want to lose our other baby, even though in my opinion he would have gotten therapy because he was rich and 9 years old.
Yes.
Right.
But still, I think that's how it went down. They freaked out. They didn't want to look negligent or make their son look bad or anything, and the rest is just history. And I think you have
we have the same theory.
But as for favorite theories, and I'm like, let's do one we haven't covered yet in the show because people can tune in and see it there. There's the Katy Perry one that everyone's coming to us with.
It is my favorite conspiracy theory.
It's really good. We'll go over it soon.
Yeah. Also, I kind of we actually just recorded an episode yesterday. And I piggybacked off of that and made my own conspiracy theory that fits my narrative better. Where I was like, instead of it being Katy Perry, I like the idea of Jonbenet actually being Lana Del Rey.
Lana Del Rey.
Ooh, okay.
Like, Katy Perry's so stale. We don't like her. She's homophobic.
Is she? Oh no, I didn't know that.
She was in the past. I think she's grown. There's all this, but whenever she first hit the scene, the whole kissed a girl thing, and she's like, I didn't really kiss a girl. I'm a Christian. That's gross.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is gross. I always thought that song was kind of like intended to be sex positive, but I didn't know that there was negative association.
Exactly.
With her.
I think like I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she's grown since then, but to me, I'm just like, Katy Perry, stay over there. Let's put Lana between.
Yeah,
okay.
Or Britney.
Or Britney.
Yes.
I do. Also, Lana Del Rey, if you're hearing this, if you send me a lock of your hair, I'll do a DNA test and find out if you are actually Jonbenet.
No, and what I like about those theories is it means she's still alive.
Yes.
Because Like, it's just such a tragic story. It's so freaking sad. It's just terrible. There is, like all the likelihood of the sexual trauma and abuse and whatever. Like, it's just so freaking terrible.
Yeah.
And thinking that she's not Katy Perry, spoiler alert, but like thinking that like she could be alive out there. I think that's why people are so attracted to those
There's another
theories,
one I'm
because
really
we
into.
want that hope.
Yeah, exactly.
that's
because we all love her just from like,
Yes.
I mean, she's such a good performer. Everyone who talks about her is like, she was the sweetest, most friendly, outgoing, bubbly little kid. It's like, I just want to meet Jonbenet as a kid and just be like,
Yes.
there is something so
Tell me.
like there's something so like beautiful and pure to like so many people just like wanting to like like making up these theories as like as wild as some of them come off. It's like people do like truly want to believe that like there is a chance that she is still alive somewhere.
Yeah.
And that
or at
is,
least
like,
resting in peace.
yeah, it's
Right.
like also it's like people want some kind of like closure and like but like hoping that like even it's like even if they have to convince themselves that this is happening, it's like there is something really like sweet to that, to where it's like people that like haven't even met her just like see that this like young like beautiful girl like had like they just like want to believe that there's a chance that she's still out
okay,
there.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Like and as like some of them might be very delusional because obviously it's like there was a body found, like there's like it's like it's like people
Allegedly.
people are it's like they want to
Allegedly.
like, something, and that in itself is just like that.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
sweet.
that. It shows like people like they I don't know.
There's
It's
some
like,
hope in humanity. But another one of my favorite theories is that John Ramsey. So John Ramsey did work for like a several $billion corporation,
Right.
who did some dealings. I don't know all the details that much, but worked with artificial intelligences for different reasons. There's a theory that John Ramsey was involved in a pedophile sex ring, which I'm not far from believing that part, and that the cops were closing in on him. We're going to go over this theory in more detail. I'm kind of also going from like my hazy memory, but
Right.
cops were closing in on John Ramsey about the pedophilia and his friends. And so Jonbenet never existed. She was an AI that he created and then murdered to distract from the pedophile sex ring. And like, I guess it worked because they're all focused on Jonbenet. So these are all like fake videos and images that we've seen of a fake person. And they even reference like 90s video cameras, how they are not ideal and sometimes they glitch and look weird. They're like, there you go. That's because
Wow.
she's not real.
That one is a lot to unpack.
And if you read the article that's written about it, it took me like days to read because it's
Right.
it's like someone did a lot of speed and then
Wow.
like okay, get some sleep.
Yeah.
Get
some
Get
rest,
some
girl.
sleep and let's revisit and see how
just like take a nap and
They're
like
like, I won't take a nap for the next year.
oh my God.
My friend who sent me that article is going to be our guest that week, which will be soon, pretty
like-
soon in the future.
Well, I'm definitely tuning into that because that sounds like just mind-blowingly wild. And I have to know. So from that, it's been such a pleasure having both of you. Can you let our viewers know where they can find you on social media, how they can find that episode? Because I think we all need to hear more about AI, Jonbenet. Where can everybody find you?
Yes. So we're on Spotify if you search Jonbenet Superstar. And hopefully by the time this airs, sometime soon, we'll be on Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pandora, basically anywhere you can find podcasts, including the apps. And then on Instagram, we're at Jonbenet Superstar, one word. On Twitter, we're at Jonbenet Superst. There's no AR because it's too long.
Oh.
And then
I was like, I didn't know we were on Twitter.
we have a Facebook group that hasn't been very active yet. And
I'm in it. I'll post.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's Jonbenet Superstar. You'll search it and find it. And then we're also working on a Patreon.
Perfect. And be sure to subscribe to Jonbenet Superstar wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a single episode.
We have a special thank you this week to the amazing TikTok community for helping us get the word out on our video about the disappearance of Breasia Tyrell. Thousands of you came together to help boost this post to try to bring attention to her very important case.
Seriously, y'all, this is the one case that keeps me up at night, and I feel like it's super solvable. We are so appreciative of everyone that gave it a boost, and please help keep Breasia's name in the news. She's 14, she's been missing since July, and her family is still looking for answers.
Thanks so much for tuning into This Week in True Crime with Murder Murder News. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button below, give us a thumbs up, and tell all of your true crime friends.
Help support Murder Murder News by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/murdermurdernews. We have some great benefits like merch, a shout out on our YouTube and podcast, exclusive episodes, and early access to tickets for our live online events. Your support helps us produce our weekly show and helps support our amazing writers that keep you up to date with the latest breaking news every day at murdermurder.news. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. See you next week.